Welcome to the Healthcare Provider Happy Hour. This is a safe space where we invite healthcare providers to unapologetically be themselves after the working day. My name is Jennifer George, and each week I will connect you with guests and stories that will help transform your stress to success and fulfillment. Are you with me? Grab your drink of choice and let's chat. Hey everyone, welcome to the Healthcare Provider Happy Hour. I'm your host, Jennifer George, and I'm joining you this evening with a glass of water. I want to chat with you about how you know you are making it in your profession, how you know of your place in your profession and what you have to offer and what your gifts are and where your value lies. If I could share a quick story with you. When my dad fell ill back in 2007, 2008, and he became chronically ill and was coming back home from hospital, I also became a physiotherapist. This was at the end of 2007, and I moved back home to help my mom care for him. So I put whatever plans I had aside for my adult life. I was about 25, 26 years old, and I moved back home. And what I thought would be short term ended up being almost 10 years of living at home. So my dad's journey of illness lasted more than 10 years. He passed away sadly in 2018. But at the onset of my career and in becoming a caregiver, I was so stressed out, right? Because I was finding my place in my profession, and I was also adjusting to my new life and my new reality, and having lost my father in some way, shape, or form as he had went into surgery and suffered an anoxic brain injury as a result of his transplant surgeries. So my life was quite disheveled at that point. I was very derailed, I guess you could say. And I didn't know it at the time. I see it now, and I actually have seen it more after my father has passed, is that this would be my gift to my profession, and not only my profession, but my patients. So after about 5 years of practice and being at home and helping my dad navigate the healthcare system and interacting with healthcare providers throughout his journey, I realized that there was this big gap in communication in healthcare, and positive interactions with healthcare providers proved to give us peace of mind, proved to improve my dad's adherence to care, even when the news was hard to hear. But negative interactions yielded stress, anxiety, poor outlook. And in those moments, what was going well in terms of communication, what I was learning on the caregiver side of things, I strived to put into my patient care interactions. And what wasn't going well, what we found to be negative, what we found not to be helpful, and anxiety and stress provoking, I strived to minimize or try not to have in my practice in any way, shape, or form if I could avoid it. And it wasn't until this moment, a few years into my practice, did I realize that this would be my gift to my profession and my patients. And I focused more on being present. I focused more on positive communication at all times, even in the face of negative issues, even in the face of patients feeling unmotivated or patients feeling like they've lost their identity and their independence in some way, shape, or form. I used communication as a way to help build them back up and help them reframe and refocus on how much life they still have to live and how to get back to that as functionally capable as possible. And in doing this is when my fulfillment began to soar, as well as my patient outcomes. And at this time in my career too, I had left a toxic work environment and took a chance on a job that was going to make me drive more, work less hours, and pay me less. So, it was more about where I could use my gifts and what aligned more with my values at that time. So these are the principles that will help guide whether you're making it or not. You know, I recently had a situation too where a student of mine who I had for a few weeks shared something with me in terms of a patient care situation, and she offered what she would do in the situation in her perspective. And it was almost as if she had shared it, but was like apprehensive in sharing it because it might not have been what others agreed with. And that's when you know you are making it, because you don't want to be like everybody else, right? Patients are coming to you for your uniqueness, for what you have to offer them, and only you know that. And only you know that by knowing your patients and by fostering a positive, safe, trusting environment as much as possible. So I was quite proud of her for sharing her perspective, and it made total sense, actually. And you know, I think it was the right perspective in my opinion. But again, the thing about what we do as clinicians is that when we go through our training and our education, it's painted black and white in a lot of ways. But when you get into the real world and you are working with human beings who have very deep emotions and stories and backgrounds and situations, we are not just dealing with physical conditions anymore, okay? And so that is where we discover our unique gifts. And the other thing to note too is, if you're wondering what you have to offer, pay attention to what you yourself are going through or have been through. Oftentimes it's our power and our gifts and our strengths come from those challenges that end up in some way, shape, or form we start to see as blessings. You know, another situation when I was chatting with Tanya Jacob on a previous podcast about being resilient, you know, she discovered that she was that she had breast cancer during COVID-19, and she's a dental hygienist. And in chatting with her, she said that she realized how blessed she was. And I thought that that was so inspirational, right? And so remarkable for her to be going through this challenging time in her life, very uncertain time in her life, and feeling blessed. Like, sit with that for a moment, okay? That is often where your gifts are, is deep into those challenges, deep into those overwhelming moments and those uncertain moments, those fearful moments. That is where your gifts lie, okay? And when you are working through them and you get to overcome them eventually, that's when you establish the power to share them, okay? And we all have them. This is what makes us uniquely us. There are thousands of healthcare providers in the world that do what you do on paper, but they are not who you are when you are interacting with your patients. Okay, so remember that always. That is what will guide you and will help you establish whether you are making it. Okay, and I hope you guys are doing well. I hope your week is off to a great start. If you have any questions around discovering your unique gifts, if you want to share your unique gifts with me, I would love to hear them. Where do you feel like you stand out in your profession? Would love to hear them. And yeah, until we chat next time, guys, remember to stay well, stay happy, and you can connect with me on Instagram at bestobsessedwithjen to share your gifts, because I know you have them. And I hope you know that you have them. So if you guys like this podcast, please subscribe and leave an honest review. Your feedback means everything to me. Your reviews are what moves this podcast forward, and I always appreciate receiving them. If you want to get a hold of me directly, reach out to me on social media. My handles are in the show notes, and you can always subscribe to my weekly newsletters at jennifergeorge.co so that we can stay connected. So until next time, thank you guys so much again for your ongoing support.